Good morning. First to incredible breaking news in the search for 4 Sydney surfers missing since Sunday in Indonesia. Mark Burrows joins us in the studio. Mark, you have just spoken to one of the surfers' mums. What's she told you?
Okay, these surfers, Davina, have been missing for the best part of 36 hours. I've just found out that they have found 3 of them alive. They were found floating in the water. The people they have found are Steph Weiss, she's the only female, Will Teagle and Jordan Short. Now, according to the father of Elliot Foote, the chap that has not been found, he said the 3 that were found were on surfboards, so no sign of the boat. I haven't got no more details on what happened to the boat. So this started on Sunday. The 4 were on a boat with some Indonesian crew. They were heading from the island of Nias to a very remote surfing location when they hit a storm. And then everybody lost track of them, no sight. So they've just apparently been found by... There was another boat full of 8 Australians on board. They did make it to the resort. But what happened was they were able to make it safely to this small island. They launched their own search mission for their mates. They hired a big catamaran, and it's that catamaran that we believe has found these 3 Aussies floating in the water. This is a remarkable story because everybody was so concerned whether they would be found alive. It's obviously some problem with the vessel, so we don't know exactly what's going on, but the chap that's still missing is 30-year-old Elliot Foote. I was with his dad this morning. He's incredibly concerned, obviously. Elliot is a very, very capable surfer, super fit guy, been surfing since he was in primary school. If anyone's going to survive this, he will. But that's the headline, Davina, is that of the 4 that are missing, we now believe that 3 have been found.
So my understanding was that they had travelled there for a 30th birthday for celebrations. And looking at the pictures there, we had a shot of the boat. It's wooden, it was rickety, they'd gone into some terrible weather. So the story they've had to survive what they've endured for a number of days, left on surfboards, will be astonishing.
Yeah, going out to sea on that boat, that's a big call. It didn't have EPIRB, it didn't have GPS, it had no electronic navigation gear.
It did have life jackets,
we believe, and they had food and water. That's something. So whatever's happened, whether the boat is capsized, whether they ended up abandoning the boat because it was sinking, whatever. But anyway, it looks like 3 of them have been found. But the search is still on for that 4th chap, Elliot Foote, who's 30. They were there for his 30th birthday celebrations. Elliot's father, Peter, who I spoke today, he actually shouted them this trip on this island. So you can imagine how he's feeling right now.
The desperation. Let's hope there's one more positive story to come out of this, Mark. Thank you. Let's go to the US now, where there is breaking news on Donald Trump, and straight to our US correspondent, Lauren Tomasi. Lauren, good morning to you. Take us through what you've just learnt.
Davina, 10 indictments have just been filed in the case into Donald Trump's election interference and his attempts to overturn the 2020 election in the state of Georgia. That paperwork filed just a moments ago. You can see there it being handed into the clerk at Fulton County. That is 10 people, we understand, who have been indicted in this case. There is no formal notice yet of the names of those defendants, but it is more likely than not that Donald Trump, the former president, is listed on that indictment, which would make it his 4th indictment this year. This has been an investigation which has been ongoing for 2.5 years. Donald Trump being looked at extensively by that grand jury. Today we had an insight we haven't seen before with cameras inside the Fulton County courthouse as those indictment papers were brought up and handed in. Now, of course, this case has been moving at lightning speed today. We didn't expect any indictments to be handed down this fast. The court was held back late into the night. It is now past 9:30 p.m. at Fulton County Courthouse with that paperwork being filed. Never before have we had an indictment involving Donald Trump with courtrooms in those, the cameras in those courtrooms. So that is unprecedented access. Look, we are waiting for the formal word that Donald Trump is listed on those indictments. As I say, we don't yet know the names of those indicted, but we do understand that of the 10 indictments filed filed today. None were rejected by the grand jury investigating this case. Donald Trump does remain the leading Republican candidate here in the United States, and if he is in fact indicted in this case, it makes it his fourth indictment this year. It is an unprecedented situation for a former president to be in. What is unique about this case, Davina, is that if he is indicted and then convicted, he will not be able to pardon himself. It is a state-led case, and under Constitution, there is no presidential pardon if he does make it back into the White House.
OK, Lauren Tomasi with that breaking news. Thank you. Let's go to Sydney now, where a 45-year-old man at the centre of the Malaysia Airlines standoff at the airport yesterday has now been charged. For more on this, we're joined live by Kate Creedon at Sydney Airport. Kate, good morning to you. Bring us up to speed. What's the latest?
Good morning, Davina. Well, Muhammad Ali Arif has this morning been charged by federal police officers with threatening to damage an aircraft and also failing to comply with cabin crew instructions on board MH122. The 45-year-old from Canberra allegedly became erratic and started making threats about having an explosive on board shortly after takeoff yesterday afternoon. He was wearing a backpack and also started making religious statements, forcing the plane to turn around, landing back in Sydney at around 3:45. From there, passengers had to wait around 2 hours for federal police officers to board the flight before they took him into custody. And many of those passengers have been arriving back at Sydney Airport this morning to board replacement flights, telling me that they had a bit of a sleepless night.
Like up in the air, it was like really scary because he was like 5 rows behind me, and he like walked up like to our row like several times. He had like he had a bag on his front and his hand in his bag and saying he had like a bomb.
And he was like, "Don't touch my bag," and then he said, "I've got a bomb in here. And if you love your life, you know, just back off."
What we experienced, I'm scared to go on the plane now.
Now, Muhammad Ali Arif is expected to appear at Downing Centre Local Court here in Sydney very shortly. We're told he's currently refusing to come out of his cell. He's facing very serious charges which carry a maximum penalty of 10 years in jail and also a $15,000 fine. And federal police officers haven't ruled out the possibility of further charges being laid. Davina?
OK, Kate, thank you. Well, the Prime Minister has called for an end to political games over his signature housing policy as National Cabinet prepares to meet to tackle the problem with supply. We'll take you live to Canberra and our politics reporter Eliza Redwoods. Eliza, good morning. Are the leaders on the same page?
Well, Davina, the PM certainly believes they are. This morning he toured a construction site in Melbourne where 445 new affordable housing units are being built. He used the visit to foreshadow tomorrow's talks at National Cabinet in Brisbane, which will focus on boosting housing supply and strengthening renters' rights. This is in the face of huge increases in advertised rents, record low vacancy rates and increasing cases of rental stress. But Anthony Albanese says action for renters must be done without dampening supply. That's the concern about the call from the Greens to limit the rent increases that landlords can impose. Anthony Albanese also called on the minor party to stop standing in the way of the government's Housing Future Fund, which aims to build 30,000 affordable homes in 5 years.
It's time for the political games to end. This is a scheme that should have begun on July 1, and every day of delay is less social housing.
Davina, the Greens have quite a few problems with Labor's policy, which relies on investment returns to build new homes rather than direct funding. And they say the government has neglected renters for far too long. That's set to change tomorrow with renters' rights on the national agenda.
OK, Eliza, thank you.